Welcome to the first. You have a story. If you look back on your life, you've done things for the first time that no one in your family, in your town, in the country has done. This is Dr. Sandi. You have unknowingly paved the way for others without knowing it or even acknowledging it. This is where you tell your story so that those who come after you can walk in your footsteps to build their own firsts. Lights, camera, action, everybody. Emmy-award-winning cameraman Howie Zales makes money every time you watch a TV show. He provides independent camera people to TV stations and networks so they can broadcast games or events like football, wrestling, golf, or even NASCAR. Howie is the first entrepreneur in his family, and today they own 3 different businesses within the TV community. His great uncle was a photographer for the New York Times, but Howie is the first videographer in the family. He stays on top of the newest communication needs in the industry. He pivoted during the pandemic to morph his business into a customized live streaming platform for everything from cooking shows, concerts, talk shows, corporate meetings, and medical interviews. Since he's the first providing this camera service, he's learning as he goes along, but has become an expert in resolving the problems that they're encountering for the first time in this industry. Howie has become a mentor for some of the best cameramen in the business and gives back whenever he can by speaking to colleges. Welcome, Howie Zales. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Sandi Webster on the first podcast. Today, I'm speaking to Howie Zales, and I've known Howie's wife for a while. I don't know Howie himself for that long. So, Howie, tell me a little bit about yourself and your business and what you do.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Sandi. Thank you so much. Jen says hi.
Yeah.
I'm been in the television business since about 2000. I started out as a camera operator for NBC Sports and the World Wrestling Entertainment. And while I was doing that, I knew I was, needed to have a fallback. So I started a business within the television industry, a hiring business. We would get calls from clients to hire camera people, audio people, replay people, everyone that it takes to do a TV show.
Okay.
So it became like a good backup plan if I ever got hurt or, got tired of traveling, things like that.
So how long did it take you to get your business up and running?
Good question. I think it was back in 1998. I got called by a good friend. I Miss in the Morning, if you remember that radio show.
Yeah.
Once in a while, they would take his TV show, which was done at MSNBC at the time, on the road. And my friend Brian called and said, "Hey, Howie, would you be a camera operator on our show?" And I said, "Sure, of course." And then he said, "Do you have any friends?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Of course." And he said, "Well, I need 2 camera people, and an audio person, this and that." And boom, my business was born. And
I was going to say, I hope you charge them for it.
Yes. And we started with that. And then we kind of worked our way up. And now we have contracts in multiple cities across the country that we do hiring within the TV business.
That's an interesting business. I never thought about the camera people and all those guys. You think about them as part of the network.
Right.
So my assumption was, if you're NBC, you have NBC hired employees who are camera people. I didn't realize that whole network is...
Years ago, it used to be that way. But then I'd say right around the time I got started in the industry, all the networks kind of released their full-time employees to the freelance world. And so all the technical positions within the sports and entertainment industry became freelance. So yeah, they're all the people in our industry, all the tech people in our industry are
Freelance
mostly
people.
freelancers. Yeah.
So do you still get to belong to what's the group that's like the arts group? SAG,
Oh,
like
yeah, unions, yes.
yeah.
So, typically, freelancers would be in 2 to 3 unions, depending on the type of work or the type of clients they have. But yeah, there's definitely a unionized business, and you only get paid the days that you work, being an independent contractor, and a lot of the people get their benefits from those unions.
The unions. Yeah, I always think of my time as an independent contractor. I would get long-term gigs. So I guess if you got a show,
Mm-hmm.
you don't really know how long that show's gonna go for,
Right.
Or if you're doing your assignment by assignment, because if you're doing like a wrestling show or like you're per event.
Right, you're per diem per event, but the there are some good things about it in the business, and what that means is, so let's say you get on an NFL package. There's 16 to 18 weeks of football. You travel with that same crew for 16 weeks, so that's
Okay.
16 to 18 guaranteed weeks of work. If you do NASCAR, it could be 30 weeks of NASCAR, or golf, same type of thing. So I was lucky enough to travel with multiple different packages throughout my career. So I always had a lot of guaranteed work. I also did 20 years of work for the World Wrestling Entertainment. So I had two gigs a week every week for 20 years.
Wow. Well, that's longevity.
Yeah, yeah.
Years. So were you the first person you know that started this kind of camera crew business, or?
Yeah, I'm the first entrepreneur in my family to own their own business, and now today we own three, and
Three of the same businesses, like a franchise, or
three different businesses within the scope of the TV community, but three separate businesses. And I'm not the first photographer in my family, but the first videographer. I have a great uncle that took pictures for the New York Times. And
was it one of those big things that you cover your head with?
Yeah. But we have amazing pictures with Babe Ruth that he took, Albert Einstein. So it definitely came from somewhere in the family.
Yeah, those must be worth a lot, because those older pictures, I see them in museums and all over the places now. So one day you too will have videos that are considered ancient, Howie.
Exactly.
I don't know what the next iteration of video will be, but it will definitely be considered old. As a matter of fact, what is the newest thing that's going on in video?
The newest thing are the mirrorless cameras. That's the kind of newest technology, where it's basically a point and shoot camera that shoots 4K video that your old time video cameras don't even have the capability of doing. And then the newest thing in also the broadcast industry is what our second business is about, is live streaming. That's like the biggest thing.
Yes.
So what our business does, and we help our clients.
Is that the same name, the business?
No, it's Veridity Entertainment Services. Veridity. I went to the seminar, and they talked about when you get all excited when things go really well in your life, you're in the blue, right? The blue zone. When you get angry and frustrated very quickly, you're in the red zone. And then in the green, you're kind of even keeled, which is my personality. And so Jen and I looked up words for the state of green or being green, and we found the word veridity. And that's, But yeah, we do live stream productions, whether it's full live streams of like cooking shows, concerts, talk shows, sports shows, to corporate meetings, events, medical interviews, any type of interviews, or a combination of both. What I mean by that is like a hybrid event. Some people in person,
Yes.
some people virtual.
And do you usually have your camera people working on the same?
So we use, depending on
How's
the
the
event.
synergy of those businesses?
Yes, so it's depending on the event, we bring some people from from our first company over to work in the second company, or if it's cameras that can be handled robotically or remote controlled, we have a different set of people that we hire to do that because it's a different skill.
And so, who are some of your clients that you do that with?
Good question. We deal a lot with agencies, whether ad agencies or health agencies. So we've done a lot of work for T-Mobile, Capital One, Verizon. We did a cooking demonstration last year into the New York City Wine and Food Festival.
Did they have that last year?
Yeah, it was mostly virtual. We were in Portland, Oregon, with Padma from our Top Chef,
Yeah,
I think
Top
it is,
Chef, yes.
and Gail from Top Chef as well. And we were in a bed and breakfast that they rented, and we did a whole 2-hour cooking demonstration. And the people that watched it basically were sent the same package of food that they were working with, so they can cook along with them.
Yes, I've actually done that.
Oh, have you?
I did that for my COVID birthday.
That's awesome.
I had a friend who has a cooking business, and during COVID, she was wondering, what do I do in order to pivot? Because she had a restaurant in California, and all the celebrities weren't coming out anymore. And she decided to do exactly what we were talking about.
That's amazing.
Send the food. She packs it in like dry ice, I guess.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then she overnights it to you from California. It shows up on my doorstep, like the morning of my birthday, and everyone got their meals. And she walked us through all the different courses, that had one. It was really nice. I have to say, and the food was delicious. I thought because it was like frozen or freeze dried, whatever ice they use, it would just not be as flavorful.
Right.
But I could see that. So that was that your pivot also during the pandemic to have?
Yeah, our pivot was starting that company and getting into the live stream business, and it's a neat story. The pandemic happened in the spring, and I met a guy by accident, and we kind of hit it off, and we started talking about live streaming and how people were using it, but the technology was just coming around, right?
Yeah.
And so I was talking to him. I said, I belong to this temple in my hometown, and with the whole pandemic, how are they going to do the services every weekend for the Jewish high holidays? And so we got to talking. We kind of devised this plan right off the cuff on how we were going to live stream, and he taught me a ton. And I went to the rabbi of the temple and I outlined this whole scenario of what we were going to do, and we put 4 cameras in the temple and live streamed the services. And I thought to myself, there's got to be a way to monetize this. How can I do that? So no sooner was I having those thoughts and trying to figure that out, did my phone ring, and it was a client saying, can you help us? We have to interview 9 Major League Baseball players in 9 separate cities in 9 weeks, but the interviewer cannot leave her house.
Oh my!
I said, we can totally do that. And as soon as I hung up the phone, I called my friend Jamie back. I'm like, I have no idea how we're going to do this, but we got to do it. And we did. And that just led to, all different types of jobs throughout the pandemic.
Because I did see when you're watching TV, everybody was in their, they were in their homes.
Right.
But they had these professional looking setups. Like you could tell they weren't just using the regular Zoom cameras.
Right.
And then we had people like Jimmy Kimmel
Yeah.
and the late night talk shows. Oh, Helen DeGeneres had some guy standing in back of her, like outside her door, which was really funny. I thought all of these stuff, like having people in your home. But,
Right.
you know, my husband's a pastor, so he has a church that we were already doing Zoom
Oh, that's great.
before. So it was very easy to continue using Zoom. I just had to teach people how to use Zoom.
Right.
And a lot of business owners who were, you know, had a brick and mortar,
Mm-hmm.
they needed to learn. The church members needed to learn how to
Yeah.
get on. So I was doing the opposite of you. I was teaching the people who needed to use Zoom to watch rather than be on it.
Yeah, we use this production software. It's basically a TV truck in our computer. It has everything that would show up at a TV show, literally jam packed into the computer. And I have a remote team of about 4 people. I've only met them 3 to 5 times. We work every week together. We speak to each other every week, but we all work out of our houses, and we send our equipment to the contributors that are in our shows. And, you know, that's how we do it, almost fully remotely.
Welcome to a virtual business. I had employees that I never met for years, maybe 10 or more years. They were my employees. They might have been in different cities. Ask Jen. I never met these people because they worked on projects in their cities. And I think that's the new normal.
Oh, totally. Totally.
And a lot of people learn how to work virtually and be productive, even more productive sometimes.
Well, I used to fly 4 times a week for 20 years, and I haven't been on I've been on maybe 2 flights in the last year, and I don't care if I ever get on a plane again.
I hear you. So now that you're doing all this stuff for the first time, what does your family think of it? Like, do they celebrate, hey, Howie's doing this? And do they understand truly that you're the one kind of leading the path in the family in this direction?
Yeah, Jen, my wife Jen, definitely does. She's happier because I'm home. I'm not traveling, you know, as much at all, more or less. And my kids went from, you know, watching me on the sidelines of football games, picking me out with a camera on my shoulder, to saying, "What live stream did you work on today, Dad?" So, yeah, they totally understand it. And starting a podcast of my own, so trying to talk about the TV industry and things like that. So, you know, although I'm doing something different, I still love what I'm doing now, and I'm home every night, and that to me is like so important.
Well, that sounds like one of the joys of your being, you know, virtual. What are some of the other things you like? Are there other things that you like about this new normal?
The new normal, I didn't have much of a schedule when I was traveling so much, and I love the fact that I have a morning routine, which starts the night before by writing down what I want to accomplish in the morning when I wake up. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I do those 2 to 3 things while having coffee on the couch with my computer. Then I immediately work out for an hour, and I can control exactly what I eat because I'm not traveling with, you know, needing catering or having to go out to eat. So to me, I
haven't thought of that one.
Yeah, it's so much better.
I hear you. But so what are some of the downsides of not being, you know, in person or being what do you consider some of the pitfalls of being the first at doing this?
The pitfalls, that's a great question. We had to kind of figure it out as we went on, as we did it for a period of time. And when you tell a client, yeah, we can do that, and you really don't know how to do
Which
it.
you do, which you always say.
But you always say you're going to be able to figure it out, right? Because then you don't get it.
Right.
And so you got to figure it out. So that's like the pitfall is the stress that comes with trying to figure it out for the first time, and not there really was not a script to do what we did. And although yes, it was a pitfall and a huge stress, I'm super proud of what my team and I accomplished in the last year.
Do you have anyone, a coach or people that you can brainstorm with, since this is the first time you're doing it? Probably need some.
Yeah, I've throughout the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, but I've had several business coaches. I had a LinkedIn coach who kind of devised a strategy for me on how to get leads through LinkedIn, rewrote my LinkedIn profile 2 separate times because after we started the second business. And the business coach really helped me, not so much with so many tangible things, but opened my mind to think outside the box. Yeah. And we also started a course on and wrote a book on how to get new freelancers into the television business. And if you would have asked me 2 years ago, would Howie Zales have ever written a book or stand up in front of people and teach? No way. But that's what the business coach kind of opened my mind up to, and how to go about getting people to join.
Yeah, I know. I like to teach, but I don't like the traditional environment of teaching. You're talking to business owners, and so that I know how to do really well. But like you, I also had a course. I still have it, but I'm doing more of the in-person help now. The done for you portion of that is where I'm moving to, because people need help. My shtick is how to form an advisory board, because that was helpful. People just really want hands-on help with that when they're setting up a board. So that's what has worked out for me. So how are you sharing this knowledge with the next generation down? Since you're the first, you got to give back somehow, Howie.
Yeah, so that's a great question. I love to teach people what I've learned, and the only way to scale our business is to have people learn to do what I and my team have been doing. So I don't have to be working in the business every day. I can work on it and grow it. So I'm teaching new people on how the systems that we've put in place and kind of figured out how to do those, and coach them on how we want things done. So it's finding new people to take my spot to doing what I was doing. So we can
you might have to start another school to train these people. Another business. That's another business in the making.
Don't even say that to Jenny.
But it's needed. It's so necessary. And plus, you're using a lot of technology that's not out there. Most people don't know about. So this is the opportunity to teach some young people on this technology.
Yeah, and I always love to go and speak at especially at the college that I went to, because I went to college specifically for television production. So I always offer to go speak at the college, and every time I do, I always meet at least 1 or 2 kids that is from the area where I live, and we end up forming a bond. And one of the best television camera operators there is in sports TV now, I found when I went and spoke when he was in college. I trained him, I mentored him. He did it he went on his own to become an awesome camera operator, but I gave him his start and helped mentor him and train him. But it's like things like that I love to do.
I know there's this college in Florida.
Full Sail.
Yeah. I use Full Sail people in C2G.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Because people started doing adding virtual things to their marketing.
Hmm.
And the Full Sail people are amazing. A
Yes.
lot of them work with Disney, and like
Yes.
they were really amazing at the stuff they did. So we hired them to come in and do projects for us that corporations wanted, virtual reality things, real estate companies, right, wanted
Yeah.
virtual reality, and that was, I applaud you guys. I have no clue. I started the course and I was a little bit overwhelmed with how much technology
Hmm.
is used in building a course.
Hmm.
And you need technology to let the other technologies talk to each other. It's so difficult. It seems like a simple thing you want to do, but I learned, I can't say I can do it myself, but I know all the things, the pieces I need, the components that I need to get it done. So I applaud you guys for
Thank
what you're doing. You're keeping the world running around us, even in a pandemic.
you.
Do you think camera crews will ever go back to being in person all the time?
Yeah, well, the sports and entertainment, yes. Um, whenever think of it like whenever there's like a Yankees game on TV, right? There's always two shows simultaneously going on. One for the Yankees fans in New York and one for the away team, wherever that away team is. During the pandemic, they cut it down to just one production, and that one production fed both cities. So now what we're hoping and what we're slowly starting to see, and in the business it's called an away feed. We're starting to see the away feeds or that second feed come back because the TV crews were kind of cut in half during the pandemic when sports started. So a lot of people weren't working, but now we're starting to see more people go back to work.
I never think about the away team. I never really thought that I thought it was always one thing and that's how you see it. I
Yeah,
never really thought until you said it about the away team. Because when the Yankees are away, we're still rooting for the Yankees. No,
right.
but I
So
never
if they're in Kansas City, there's two TV crews in Kansas City, one shooting for the Kansas City team, one shooting for the Yankees, but it's too expensive to fly a crew from New York to shoot it. So they hire the local crew in Kansas City. They travel the announcers from New York, and the camera people listen to what the announcers are saying and shoot what the announcers are saying. So it's a completely different show than what's going on in the home show, because what the away team is talking about could be completely different.
thought I knew a lot about this stuff, but clearly not. No, that's amazing. That's an aha moment for me because I never really thought that you're specifically selling to the away team. I just always
Yeah,
thought, oh, our Yankees are playing, and so everybody's seeing the same stuff
yeah.
that we're seeing.
They may share some cameras once in a while, depending, but typically there's two independent shows going on almost all the time.
Ah, so now that you have all this knowledge, Howie, and what are you gonna do with it? How are you gonna, what's your next?
What's my next? Good question. Um, so we have just invested in a content delivery network. It's called a CDN. And I'll explain it this way very easily. So let's say you have a following on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
The platform controls the algorithm on who you're on whether or not your contacts see your posts, right? Because the algorithms keep
Right.
changing. So you don't own your you don't own your followers. The platform owns the followers.
Right.
And if we're talking on YouTube, they'll put, if you get ads put on your content, they control the advertising and what the ads are. And what if you don't want to be associated with that company? You don't have a choice. So what we say is, let us create a television or an internet network for you Okay. We create the website and the video players. We white label it with your logo, with your look, and we can sell the advertising, or you can sell the advertising for yourself. We insert it in the videos in the areas that you want us to, or before and the end, all on your page. And now we've just created your own network. You can still post on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, sending those people to your website or your network. And all your content lives there instead of on a platform that has followers, which you don't own.
That is very interesting.
And these networks are a lot of money. So we invested a lot of money, but to get people to come into it, we don't need, we can offer it a lot cheaper to people than what it would cost if you went out and bought it yourself.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What's like do you sell ads by the seconds like they do in regular ads, or?
No, it's kind of like consider it like a YouTube ad, right?
Oh, okay.
So instead of like YouTube deciding who you want the ad to be, you can decide who the ad is, right? And if you you go out and get the ads, then we can put those spots anywhere you want on in the content that you create. And we create the player that is inserted in the website or the web pages. And we house all of your content for you instead of it being on YouTube. So when someone presses play, it doesn't look like a YouTube or a Vimeo player. It looks like Sandi's player with Sandi's logo and Sandi's graphics.
And this is a subscription-based product?
Yeah, it's like a yearly thing, a yearly commitment.
Okay. Well, I would love to see an example of it because I'm always looking for new stuff.
Sure.
Even if I just try it for a little bit, and, I always promote to people. If I know something, let's try this out new and see how it goes.
Yeah, we just created a whole entire experience for the temple for the high holidays. So the first page, when people logged on to a special website, it was TBS High Holidays 2021. When they logged on, they got to a donation page if they wanted to make a donation or not. Mm-hmm. And then it was like a bunch of announcements, like a slideshow of announcements that the temple wanted to put on there with some music. Then there was a chat for everyone that was virtual so they can chat. And then a countdown clock to how long until the service started. And then when I decided at the right time or whatever time of day it was that the service started, I changed what the people were seeing at home to the live stream with inside the temple. We had five cameras with a virtual prayer book underneath. And at the end of the service, we changed it again to the post show, which was some more announcements promoting the time of the next service, and a calendar of events that the temple sent to us that we put in the site.
I have the low-tech version. I use a PowerPoint document. That sounds like Joel Osteen or, one of these big Billy Graham type things. Even if it's a smaller church, you get that feel, like a big church kind of feel to it. No, I'd be interested in talking to you about that, see what's
awesome.
up with that. But that's nice. So are you getting the boys into your next generation into working with you, or they have no interest whatsoever?
I give them work to help the business. So Jenny's oldest and a family friend, they created a company deck for us over the summer. That was their summer job.
Oh, nice.
And one of them, we have 25 laptops that we send out to our contributors with cameras and microphones and cables. So one of our other sons, he updates the computers every week because Windows computers need a lot of updates.
Yeah.
And we have 25 of them. So that's what he does. But no one yet to take the business over. We'll see.
Listen, when Peggy and I started, we too asked our kids, like, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? They're like, not marketing. Not mark. You're kidding. This was within, I think, the first couple of months that we started, and we were figuring out what's our end strategy, what's our end game with this. And there was a bus driving by. And nobody showed any interest. But guess what Lauren is doing today?
What's that?
Marketing. And guess what Emily, Peggy's daughter's doing today? Marketing.
Could have had a business.
They could have had a business. And we're like, how is this possible when you all stated you wanted nothing to do with marketing? But so there's hope yet for you and your boys to pick it up. I think it gets easier as they see you doing it, or the cool stuff like
right.
that you're doing will probably come up with them. So with that, Howie, I would say it's an amazing business that you're doing. And how did anyone inspire you to do this, Howie? Did you see someone and you said, like, hey, I want to do that, like that?
Yeah. I wanted to play professional baseball in high school, but I knew I needed a backup, and I needed in 10th or 11th grade, I needed one elective, and the class sounded cool. It was a TV production class with a trip to NBC studios in 30 Rockefeller Center, and to watch a show being videotaped. And I said, how bad can that be?
Yes.
And I instantly totally fell in love with TV, and I knew that I needed to combine my love of sports and TV. And we used to go to Rangers, Knicks, and Yankees games all the time. So I'd watch the camera people, but I didn't really realize I was watching the camera people until I took that course. And then it kind of, all clicked.
Right. Oh my goodness. And does this, now that you've done not one or two, or now 3 companies, are you bolder in doing new things? Do you find? Does it scare you to still do new things, or are you just
No, because I feel like if you're not doing something new, you're not learning, you're not growing. I constantly listen to, mindset podcasts and books, and business books, entrepreneurial books. And I also enjoy hearing what other people are doing, or if they need help with ideas. And I always, kind of spin it in an entrepreneurial way. I don't know why, but that's how my brain works.
And you have your secret weapon, Jen.
Yeah, you know what? If you don't surround yourself with smarter people than you are, then you're not going anywhere. She's a lot smarter than I am.
So true. Jen really has it going on, I have to say.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to leave the people with today?
No, I think this was great. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor to talk to you.
No, it's great for me to learn about a new business. I've not heard of this one before talking to you, especially the CDN portion of it. I think that could be a good takeoff business. Maybe for larger. I'm not sure how, the little guy can use it, but
we're, like the influencers of the world that really heavily rely on the platforms, those people's businesses are could be in danger every time the algorithms change.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I know that I have people who follow me and then all of a sudden they disappear.
Yeah. It's not by accident.
See any feed from that person anymore until you kind of go to them and start it all over again. But it's work. It's a lot of work to do that. Well, thank you for that, Howie. And thank you for coming on the first today. There's definitely a lot of, you have 3 firsts. That's a first. So thank you very much.
My pleasure, Sandi. Thank you.
This is Dr. Sandi. Thank you so much for sharing your journey on the first, where no 2 stories are alike, even if the circumstances are similar. Let this discussion serve as inspiration for others to show what's possible, and more importantly, to produce seconds and thirds.